Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another video that I'm going to be bringing you today on Dragon Ball Z. In this video, we're going to be talking about something that's a little bit interesting, a kind of misconception that we're hoping to clear up in this video that has been within the Dragon Ball community for a while now, and that is, when did Goku learn the fusion technique? But before we begin, allow me to introduce my very special guest.
Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman'sLand here today.
Yes, sir. So, basically, we're going to be talking about when we think Goku actually learned the fusion technique, because the thing is that there's many people who seem to believe that Goku knew the fusion technique during the Android and Cell saga, which, of course, when you think about it, doesn't make a lot of sense, because obviously they would have used it, right? So, Qaaman, when do you think Goku actually learned the fusion technique, and what's your evidence for this?
Well, obviously, Mike, the general answer without a specification would have to be obviously in the gap, obviously after dating, Cell's defeated, and, obviously before, he actually came back to life for a day. But my thing is, Mike, I've always felt that before really analyzing it, that he would at the very least have to have learned it somewhere in the middle of that gap, probably around the 3 to 4 year gap. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the way he described the Meta-Maries, at least, from the filler episodes, he was describing them as like knowing that they were weak. So it seemed like he spent some time with them in the afterlife. It wasn't just like a one and done type of thing, because he clearly had to really analyze like the fusion and, at least see it more than enough times for him to perfect it, which means that, he must have spent a good amount of time with it. So I would say, in a general sense, in the middle of the 7 year gap.
And what Qaaman is referring to is that in the manga and the anime equally, Goku tells them basically after the death of Gohan, quote unquote, and Vegeta at the hands of Fat Buu, he tells Piccolo and Dende that he learned fusion in heaven. And basically, he learned it from a race of aliens known as the Meta-Maries. And basically, individually, they're basically pretty weak. However, when they fuse together, they become one of the most powerful warriors in heaven. And Goku really, the manga implies that Goku trained with a lot of different people when he was in heaven. That's how he learned that technique to begin with. So I think that really, it only makes sense that Goku would have learned it then. And it makes no sense that Goku would have it beforehand, because there wouldn't have been such an urgency for Goku to train Gohan to become stronger than him. He would have just needed to train someone to become his equal, and then he could have fused with them, and they could have easily even beaten Super Perfect Cell, just because the fact of how much stronger Gotenks became when individually Goten, Trunks as Super Saiyans, I don't even think could beat Frieza. So basically, there is a lot of misconceptions and confusion out there essentially as to where Goku learned the fusion technique. And one of the biggest ones would have to be on Yardrat. Now, why, Qaaman, do you think that there's so many different misconceptions out there as to where he actually could have learned this technique?
Well, I think the main reason would have to be that there's a difference between, like the afterlife and its depictions, because, just to back you up a bit, Mike, you were mentioning how, Goku said it in heaven, and for those of you who are not as familiar with the manga, Goku actually literally, directly mentions, heaven in the manga, whereas in the anime, he calls it, the other world, the afterlife, whatever you want to call it. And there's a huge difference, because the way the manga doesn't depict the afterlife the same way that, I guess you would say, the Dragon Ball Z series does, where you see, all these fighters going to a tournament and Goku fighting Pikkon. It was not like that, or Goku goes to the home for infinite losers by falling off a snake way. All of that stuff didn't happen. All that was added. So when you look at it like that, I think that's why a lot of people have kind of brought up this confusion, because it's well, which one do I follow? Do I follow the manga that almost says nothing about the afterlife but mentions heaven, or do I follow the anime that goes more in depth about these little things? That's what I would say is.
And also in the anime, there is another change that's a pretty big one. In the anime, Goku is not training in heaven. He's training on Grand Kai's planet, which is completely different, because if you look at the map of the Dragon Ball universe, which I'll be showing on the screen right now, there is a big difference between Grand Kai's planet, where the Grand Kai lives and other people, I guess, train, maybe, I don't know if that's canon or not, and heaven, which is a completely different different place. And when we actually see Goku in the other world, when he's talking to Gohan and the other Z fighters from the other world, or heaven, we actually do see heaven. We see other people with halos in the background. None of them look like fighters at all. So it is interesting to think that, you know, they made all these different changes to the anime, which of course would confuse fans for years to come. I do wonder how many people Goku actually did train with in heaven, or how long it actually took him to meet the Madame Maurice, because you have to think, how many people are actually up there from all around the universe? Billions? I mean, how long would it actually take? And it's kind of crazy to think that Goku is the strongest of anyone there at all.
It's funny you're saying, Mike, just to put a little bit of Dragon Ball mathematics in here. It's funny you say billions, but if you really think about it, it's probably like an astronomically larger number, considering the fact that if you look at the Dragon Ball universe, it's not like our universe where we have billions of people on Earth that have lived. This is a universe that has people from different galaxies, you know, or organisms dying like literally at every second, you know? So it's just funny when you think about it like that.
Man, it's... Now, I don't even remember if this is specifically said to be canon. I feel like they changed it a little bit later in the Buu saga to where there actually were 4 snake ways and 4 check-in stations for the different quadrants, regions, or galaxies in the universe. But I mean, King Yama's job must suck if he actually has to deal with trillions of people like flowing in yearly. I mean, that would just be terrible.
Yeah, it's a never-ending job.
So in conclusion, in this video, I think that we've determined that Goku actually learned the technique in heaven. Not before, not in the Cell games fighting Cell or any characters before that, but he had to learn in heaven, because otherwise they would have easily beaten Cell or any other foes that came before them. He would have taught it to other people, and they wouldn't have been so unprepared when Buu came. They probably would have easily beaten him. But in either case, this has been another video that we're bringing you today on Dragon Ball Z. Don't forget to tell us your own thoughts down below. When did you think Goku actually learned the fusion technique, and did you actually know that it was at this point in time? Also, don't forget to check out Qaaman'sLand's channel down below in the description. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
And please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.
I'll do it now. I don't need to fuse with anyone. My muscles are already bigger than all of yours combined.
And you better subscribe!